Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. Here in this video, we have all of your Tesla stock news that you need to know, as well as a look at who is short in Tesla, potentially how bad the situation is, and what's coming next for Tesla stock. I have a funny feeling that if markets do not go through a significant correction in the coming months, we'll talk about that a little bit in this video. More on that in the next video because that's a pretty extensive topic. Nonetheless, if that does not happen, Tesla stock is likely going to break to new all-time highs by the end of this year. Let me know your thoughts down below in the comments section. First and foremost, I just want to say before we get into anything else, from a technical perspective, Tesla looks beautiful. You had the gap up back here in late October, you rallied, you sold off a bit, but obviously didn't come back down to that initial gap level. You rallied again, now you're trending lower, and you started to trend higher again on Friday. This is looking at Tesla on a 1 hour candlestick chart, and it looks like Tesla is ready to make another move to the upside. And honestly, there's a strong fundamental case to own Tesla stock, especially now that Trump is in office. There should be favorable policies towards Tesla, first of which being the elimination of the $7,500 tax credit. This sounds idiosyncratic. This sounds like something perhaps Tesla investors should not want, but it's really helping Tesla's competition more than it's helping Tesla, and it maybe on the margins helps Tesla sell Teslas, but Tesla did the best they ever did with no tax credit. And yeah, you can argue rates were lower, so on and so forth. There's arguments to be made there, but there's also an argument to be made that rates will be going lower, that Trump will not cause excessive inflation, and that will cause the Fed to lower rates. And that'll be good for Tesla, and we will have boom times again ahead of us for Tesla stock. But hey, what do I know? I'm just some guy here on YouTube. First and foremost, before we get into who is short in Tesla, how bad the situation is, what the short interest looks like, the dollar amount sold short, all of that, I think we should look at the option activity because at this point, options are equally, if not more impactful than the actual short position. A lot of the rally we've seen in Tesla so far has not actually been shorts covering. Shorts seem to be stubborn when it comes to Tesla, and they don't like to cover on their short positions. Option activity drives Tesla stock these days, okay? Tesla and Nvidia fight for the #1 spot of the most traded stock in options every single day. So any given day, it's either Tesla or Nvidia in recent weeks, of course. Tesla's always been top 10 for like years now, but recently the option activity has soared in Tesla, not just from retail investors, which are the typical, bullish option buyers in Tesla, but it's also soared within hedge funds and institutions. I think because there's a fundamental, case to be had with Tesla, with AI and robotaxis next year and deregulation and all of that good stuff. But there's obviously the more tactical approach that Tesla is still trading at the time of recording this video more than 25% lower than its previous all-time high set in 2021. So clearly there could be room to recapture some of that upside. Nonetheless, on Friday, you had 299 different trades from hedge funds and institutions, totaling $184 million with a positive order value of 75%. Now, those are great numbers. Tesla was really the outperformer on Friday and is showing great momentum overall. Now, in the last week, you have seen 3,452 different trades, totaling $3.29 billion with a positive order value of 80%. That is wild for a 1 week period for Tesla. In fact, a 1 week period where Tesla really didn't do that well. Okay, Tesla for 1, 2, 3, 4 days. Besides on I guess Monday was a pretty good day and Friday was a pretty good day. But other than that, Tesla did not do well in aggregate this week. Tesla fell roughly from the high of 362 down to where we closed. Tesla fell about 11.3%, which is crazy. that we actually seen 80% positive order values from hedge funds and institutions on a bad week like we just had for Tesla. I think that goes to show we're probably not done with this recent rally in Tesla. And I think Friday was a pretty good indication of that, with Tesla stock going up 3%. Now, for anyone that does not understand how options push a stock higher, I think this is critical to understand in the next phase that we are going through with Tesla. Okay. Options, right? Let's say you buy a 350 call. It's out the money. You're about $30 out the money right now. It's not going to be terribly expensive. Let's say you buy this for 2 weeks out. Not a recommendation. You should not do this. Any money you invest with options, consider it gone as soon as you place the trade. If you make money, great. But consider it like you go to the casino with $500 or something. You expect worst case scenario, you're going to leave that casino $500 poorer, okay? Same should be looked at in regards to options, unless you're doing, intricate, sophisticated strategies, which we're not talking about here. The option activity that is driving Tesla stock is calls, right? There's no overlaying to it. There's no sophistication in the grand scheme of things. It's people buying calls. So let's say you bought a 350 call for $100. Okay, your break even is 351. Well, market makers, they take the back end of those options, so they're actually agreeing to sell you stock at 351 or 350. Their break even would be 351. Now, if Tesla stock goes higher, and let's say goes to 360, well, you would win on your option. Each option would be worth $900 plus the additional premium, right? Or $1,000 plus the additional premium, factoring in your break even. Gets a little confusing. Just call it $1,000, right? A dollar is worth $100 in option terms that you're in the money. Well, market makers, they're not going to take a $1,000 loss on each one of your options because you're a degenerate and you made money. Congratulations. I am also a degenerate that likes to make money with options. Okay. So what the market maker does is they'll go out and buy 100 shares, 200 shares, 300 shares, depending how many options you have. You have 10 options, right? They're going to buy 1,000 shares, okay? So the higher the quantity of options you own, the more shares market makers have to go out and buy. They're going to go out and buy anywhere in the range of $350 to $350.90 or so, right? If your break even's 351, they go out and they buy stock below your break even. So they can give you your shares at 350, but factoring in the premium you paid, make a profit, right? It could be 10 cents, it could be $1 per contract. Who knows? Could be any fluctuation of those numbers, and these are really algorithmic based programs. So not everyone's, situation is going to be different. But market makers, they buy stock below your break even. Right? So they give it to you. And that's what really helps fuel a gamma squeeze in a stock, right? Is the market makers that buy the stock as your options start to win. So the more options win, the more market makers have to go out and buy more stock. And then we all look around and say, maybe Tesla's fundamentally justified at these prices. And that's what helps support the stock after the fact. And that is what has happened recently ever since Tesla ran from 212 to 362, ever since October 23rd. Okay. And I think this is going to continue as long as we have the right market conditions that are in place. Now, there are some concerns that I have in the near term. Longer term, I think we're just fine. Into 2025, after we get a growth scare, which I'm sure we'll get at some point. Bad tariff policies, I'm sure we'll get those at some point. After all of that is said and done, I think Tesla is probably a $500, $600, $700, $800 stock by the end of 2025, as long as we don't have a recession. In the very near term, though, things could get problematic. And stay tuned to the channel for the video coming out at 8 p.m. I have a breakdown of all of your positive things going for markets, positive catalysts, and negative catalysts that are currently, going for markets, right? That is working in our favor and not working in our favor. So let's take a look at the short position as well here. You have 2.79% short interest off your float. Doesn't sound like a lot, but on a company that's worth $1.07 trillion, that's a lot. You have $24.3 billion sold short in Tesla, currently on a dollar amount basis, totaling 78 million shares. On Friday, you had 1.75 million return shares and borrowed shares of 2.42 million. So on net, it looks like about 669,000 shares were actually sold short. So you didn't get any shorting or short covering activity really on Friday. You actually seen shorts selling the stock short. And that was likely just due to the weakness that you did see in the broader markets. Okay, so courtesy of Tesla Boomer Mama on X, she does simplify things a bit, saves us a little bit of the work, which we like that as long as we get the same information. This is a breakdown of all of the firms with short positions on Tesla. Now, keep in mind, like a Bill Gates, well, he doesn't have to report short positions. Okay, technically, you never have to report a short position. You only have to report calls and puts. Sometimes firms report actual short positions, but it's very rare. Okay, for an example, out of all of these firms that are net short in Tesla, only one of them is reporting that they are short the stock, and that is ACAP Strategic Fund. They report that they are short 447,332 shares of Tesla. It's very rare. For whatever reason, you don't have to report your short positions. It's a weird thing on Wall Street with the SEC. You don't have to report short positions. You do have to report your call and put activity though. You can see here at number 1 on the list is Clean Energy Transition LLP. They have 0 calls and about 1 million shares or $1 billion worth of a short position, since this is represented in thousands. So over $1 billion in a short position via put options, right? So that's kind of wild. You can see here Millennial Management is short on net about $441 million in Tesla. ACAP Strategic Fund is short 447,000 shares, about 447 million it looks like. Barque, Pisset, and CA, I don't know, I've never heard of that fund before, is short about $892 million in Tesla. Bank, Pisset, and C Asia is also short $268 million worth of Tesla. And the list kind of goes on. I mean, there's quite a few of these firms that are short in Tesla, but it's only in options that we can see here. Bill Gates could have a $5 billion short position in Tesla, and we won't know it because they're likely shorting the actual stock. And just from what we can tell from the losses shorts have taken on recently, going from $15.8 billion sold short in Tesla on October 23rd, precisely when this rally started, up to now $24.3 billion, short sellers are effectively down like $10 billion since October 21st, which means on aggregate, short sellers are likely down like 50% in this time span. That's a rough position to be in. And I think you are getting to a breaking point. I think the 360 level was really starting to get to that breaking point. If things did not, kind of turn down, you likely would have seen a larger short squeeze. Okay, but I do think momentum kind of got ahead of itself with Tesla going up like 10% days in a row. So I think you were overall due for a little consolidation, a little bit of a pullback here, but I don't think this is the end for Tesla's recent rally unless we get more turbulence in markets. There's a strong case to be had that, yeah, we're going to get some turbulence. There's going to be bad tariff policies. There's going to be a growth scare at some point in 2025. But between now and the inauguration, you could see more animal spirits come out. You could see more optimism come out for Tesla and really for the broader markets. Specifically, let me just point out one thing. We'll talk about this more in the next video. But Nvidia earnings. Now, I'm a little concerned about Nvidia earnings, not from a fundamental perspective, but from the perspective of analysts just keep raising the bar heading into Nvidia earnings. The bar is very high. Even if Nvidia beats, which I'm expecting they will, it may not be it might not be super impressive. That could be problematic for the markets, specifically for big tech. But at the same time, Elon just announced XAI was looking to purchase 100,000 additional H100, GPUs. So it's a toss-up. I don't think we're positioned well from a sentiment perspective, from an analyst perspective. But if Nvidia somehow just smashes all the estimates again, that is likely going to fuel big tech to move higher, and that will likely fuel Tesla as well. And I think this is the biggest catalyst likely between now and year end. And the Nvidia earnings is this upcoming Wednesday. So mark your calendars for that one. With that said, let's get into some other, maybe lesser important Tesla stock news. Tesla has released a Tesla bot action figure for $40 with 40 plus individual parts, and it's already sold out. General Motors is laying off nearly 1,000 workers worldwide, mostly in the US. Tesla has also released a new die-cast 1/18 scale model of the Model S Plaid and Model X Plaid for $195 a piece. CEO and founder of Tesla battery supplier CATL says that Tesla's 4680 cylindrical cell technology is going to fail and never be successful. We had a very big debate, and I showed Elon. He was silent. He doesn't know how to make a battery. And betting against Elon is usually a bad idea. Gene Munster says Tesla deliveries should accelerate next year despite the tax credit that is ending. Sentiment for Tesla on Friday was very positive, coming in at 55, which was bullish. On Thursday, you were bearish at 32. Message volume is low at 41. Yesterday was high at 62, and participation ratio is normal at 54. Google Trends data still looks solid for Tesla. If you look at worldwide trends, not too much has changed from the update yesterday, and US Google Trends looks pretty much the same as well. Things are tilting upwards, which is a good sign for Tesla's Q4. Tesla is still running about 4,000 different ads with Google. Tesla's global inventory levels for the Model Y have recently plunged from about 7,400 down to 6,000, Model 3 at 5,400, Model X at 4,800, and the Model S at about 2,900. CNN's Fear and Greed Index also took a plunge on Friday from 60 on Thursday down to 51 to close out the trading day, which was a 9-point drop, which is pretty fascinating. Market momentum is neutral, stock price strength extreme fear, stock price breadth extreme fear, put and call options greed, market volatility neutral, safe haven demand greed, and junk bond demand in extreme greed. Now, again, from the technical perspective, Tesla bounced at this line that I've had drawn on the charts for a while now. And I think there's a strong case to be had that Tesla stock is moving higher from here. Again, unfortunately, if the markets take a more drastic downturn into year end, that is going to be a big problem. And there's a real debate to be had on this, and we'll have that in the next video. That's why I think it's so critical that you watch that video coming out at 8 p.m. tonight. I know it's later. It's a freaking Saturday. Who wants to spend their Saturday going over the stock market? Hopefully you are as nerdy as me and that is exciting to you. Nonetheless, there's really a strong argument to be had on both sides. The bearish and the bullish side into year end, and we will have that in the next video. Tesla's got a high beta. Tesla usually follows what the market does. On Friday, it did not. Tesla was up 3%. The Nasdaq was down over 2%. It was a really good day in those terms for Tesla. But is that going to continue? It's a toss-up. I will share my perspective on what I'm doing, how I'm positioning my portfolio to benefit in either scenario the markets want to take, whether we crash into year end, crash and burn potentially, as some people think, or we rally higher into year end and come into problems in the first quarter of 2025. There will be problems at some point, though. Like, it's not going to be smooth sailing forever. Over the next 5 months or so, there will be a problem, and you will likely get some form of crash. Question is it from now into year end, or is it in the start of 2025? With that said, ladies and gentlemen, let me know what you think about this information down below in the comment section. You guys have a great rest of your day, and I will see you in the next one.